Welcome to Sports Connection. I'm Darrin Joins, Williamson County Schools Athletic Director. I'm here with Mr. Tate Mathews. Tate, last week we're going to call it the storm that never happened.
The storm that never happened. Games got moved to Thursday. No storm on Friday. I'm glad they didn't. There were a couple of storms for some WCS opponents, though. Thunderstorms, hurricanes, whatever you want to call it. Notice we have something sitting out here. But, storms didn't show up. A couple games got moved because of it. I'm glad it didn't. Made for a more fun for the fans, but had some really big performances by some of our teams.
Well, maybe we ought to get right to it. Thursday night games, both of these were moved. Both were road games. Nolensville at Glencliff. Nolensville 42, Glencliff 0. It's a region matchup. And then Page, a non-region matchup at Laverne. Page 42, Laverne 0. So both 42-0 wins for Nolensville and Page.
Two big boat races. Coach Derrick, we'll start with him. As we know, he likes to go down to Alabama and get on the lake.
He does.
He's kind of more of like a runabout, sea race, surf boat type guy. And, man, he was headed there early. The running clock starts in the second half.
Correct. Which means the second half lasted about 24 minutes.
Yes. The opposing coach or the losing coach can request an early running clock if he wants. And if the other coach agrees to it, Glencliff requested the running clock with about 9 minutes to go in the second quarter.
That's a nugget right there.
And Coach Derrick agreed to it because he's a good sport. So what I'm telling you is 42-0. The running clock started 9 minutes into the second quarter. So, I don't know how many we'd need to look that up. I don't know how many total minutes were played. What the Nolensville offense made quick work of that limited time, scoring 42 points. And the defense played really, really well. Defense, -9 total yards for the half. And then when they got the puppies in there, Glencliff was able to move the ball a little bit, finished up with 24 total yards. So,
wait a second.
Coach Derrick.
So they moved it a little bit, which means they had 33 yards.
Correct. But it wasn't negative. Coach Derrick was 40-foot Donzie in it Thursday night. Had some big-time performances, too.
Jack Dever.
Ever. Count us out.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
It's good. 7 of 8, 94 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 different guys. Ambrose, Osborne, Smotherman. Our man Rowan Ambrose also had a defensive touchdown. Always fun there. And then Tristan
Lithmasai.
What a great name.
He's on the all-name team already. Just a sophomore, baseball player too. We know him from baseball. 10 rushes, 61 yards, and a touchdown. Tristan Lithmasai, big performance the other night. He's had some good ones. He keeps popping up.
He does.
It's going to be a name to watch the rest of the year and the two after.
Page with their win. How did that go? Oh, captain, my captain.
Coach Rathbone headed down to the Harpeth River a little early, got on this little flat bottom, get out there. A little bit slower pace. Not like they play, but a little bit slower pace on the Harpeth River. 42-0 against Laverne. Laverne was another one that wanted to move it up to Thursday because the storm was going to come.
It did.
It came. So many great things to say about this, but you got to start with 4 games, 4 shutouts for the Patriots and the Patriot defense. Is Laverne, did the pundits have Laverne as a 10-1 odds to head to Chattanooga? No, but still 0 points. Defense played lights out. And again, we just talked about it with the moving the yards. They didn't get any points with Glencliff. They're putting in the puppies for good chunks of the game, and they're not giving up points either. So Page defense, as good as they've ever had there. They're still ranked number 1 in the Tennessee Sports Writers Association poll. Playing really, really well, man. They got a lot of good things going offensively as well. Got to Mitchell Grandjean, who, has been playing tailback, starting off in the game at tailback, but then coming in and playing some quarterback relieving Weebush and working more into that quarterback role. He got to play a lot. He had a very nice night, had a few touchdowns. I think he went 7 for 7 passing, 5 for 5 passing, and also got to run the ball in there too as a touchdown. So nice to see him developing and getting more comfortable at the quarterback position. Caden, Craig's his daddy. Sorry. Caden Ackerman, a couple of receiving touchdowns. He's a receiver that you can tell he's getting better and better. They're developing a better connection. So the offense is not anywhere near, I think, to firing on all cylinders, and they're still winning big.
Ackerman's touchdowns both from Grandjean at quarterback. You mentioned he had a touchdown rushing too. Talking about Mitchell Grandjean. And then Isaac Odie, the fabulous freshman, with 2 rushing touchdowns. So another great win for Page.
That kind of sounds like a wrestling name. Isaac the Fabulous Odie. That'd be good. I like that one.
You know, if I'm, not that other teams are totally worried about this, but if I'm in the region, I mean, maybe it's more of an issue this week, but I wouldn't be happy that they get to move their games up and they were blowouts. That's a total extra day of rest, and that's going to add up. So I totally get why Nolensville and Page did it. I was always one of those people that if it was a weather situation and someone said, do you want to move it up? If it was a road game, I said yes every time.
Right.
I don't care if it was 74 degrees outside. Sure, we'll move it up. Because when you're the road team, I feel like you need any advantage to kind of make the game messed up, so to speak.
Yeah.
I'm going to guess the total crowd, if you don't count the people who came from our county, was about a total of 200 people, and that counts trainers and administration.
I think you're being generous. That's the other thing, too. I don't understand that. These, for those 2 teams, these have got to be 2 of your better gates.
Have to be.
And you killed them. You destroyed them.
Good on Coach Derrick and Coach Rathbone for doing that, though.
Get an early jump.
You're okay,
right.
Here's one that was maybe a little closer than the score. Franklin at Indy, 35-14. Franklin big now, 1-0 in the region.
Yep.
Independence 0-1. So that was a big game for that reason. And let's face it, they're inside track on the playoffs now that they've won that game. You figure it's going to be Franklin, Indy, Summit. Those are the biggest, although, it's in play with Brentwood too. Ravenwood's going to be tough for any of those teams. So now you're thinking any of those wins, and certainly if you get a couple, not counting Overton, then you're definitely going to. But Franklin jumped out 14-0 at the end of the first half. The second score, which came really late, a 59-yard touchdown pass from Brewer Wilson, who was back at QB, to Lucas Young. That felt like a backbreaker, but it ended up really not being. Independence came right back. A great drive to start the second half and even cut that thing to 21-14 midway through the third on a Calvin Wall 90-yard kickoff return. Then there's a little controversy here. And I love what Coach Stidham said. He's like, look, it didn't decide the game, but it was 21-14. You get a Wilson to Lucas Young 65-yard touchdown, but a flag goes down. Did he step over the line? Did he not step over the line? And so they reversed what they called on the field, gave him a touchdown, and then really from there, Franklin didn't look back. We were talking about this before the show. I was talking with Mr. Producer. We're both big Kentucky fans.
Yes, you are.
They had a tough loss at Georgia.
Oof.
But, the interception, I don't know if you saw the highlight where he went down and hit the ground, popped up, and they said it wasn't a completion. I still like – I don't like replay. I don't. I really don't. Now, if it's can throw a flag and check 1 or 2, I think that's one of the beauties of the high school game. If it doesn't go your way, it's not too beautiful. But I certainly get that we don't have that, and that was a tough deal for Indy. If it went the other way, then maybe I'm not critiquing whether it was right or wrong.
Right.
I'm just saying if that comes back. You never know. But once they got that score, it was pretty much over. Big night for Brewer Wilson, by the way. 252 yards, 4 touchdowns.
Huge night. And was out last week. Now he's back. And he came out and made the most of it and really spread the ball around. You mentioned Young. He hit Thompson. I mean, he used all of his weapons. And, we've known what was coming with him. He seems like he's been the starter since 2018, but he really has grown. That's the fun thing to watch. He's always had ability, but we've watched him grow. He's becoming more and more of a really cerebral quarterback who can make plays. And with Young and Jackson and Thompson, I mean, he's got Flynn. He's got an arsenal of weapons to hit. And then Gacka played, was all over the field per usual. They played really well. I think you're right. Not only do I think, do they have the inside track now on making the playoffs, but I think they got to start thinking that they've got a chance to go after Brentwood and maybe even play for that second. They're going to throw everything, including the kitchen sink, at Brentwood when they play them. But I don't think they're just talking playoffs. I know they're not doing it in public, but I think internally they think they've got a chance to finish second.
Well, and I think they do too. In fact, I think that's one to circle. Brentwood and Franklin, the traditional
Rivalry.
matchup. It's for the first time in a lot of years, that's going to matter in the regular season.
Without a doubt.
It really is. So that's going to be fun. Independence, again, the young sophomore quarterback, Matthew Horner, did a great job on that 69-yard drive coming out of halftime. It was like a 5-play drive, too. He ends up, he had a 45-yard run on that drive, had over 100 yards passing, 79 rushing. So that young man keeps getting better and better. The future looks bright with him as the quarterback.
100%.
Hey, speaking of one that was never in doubt, didn't quite, it's 33 points. Okay.
No, we have to be fair. 33 points did not used to qualify as a boat race, but now
42-9.
30 is the cutoff, so we have to give it to them.
That's the contrary, because you're always saying,
Right.
is it?
Maybe not a boat race, but maybe it's a running clock. I say we give it.
Listen, you're the captain.
You beat Smyrna by 33 points.
I don't care what you base it on, 30, 35, 27, whatever you want to do.
It's boat race city. Coach Hester's back in the captain's seat.
Hey,
More of a tri-tune kind of guy, though. Cruising.
100%.
He gave up the water sports years ago.
So Maverick Chance, and one thing that's really good for them, I think sometimes when you keep winning games like this, you can get worse. I really think you're in danger of that happening a little bit. But Chance, because he's so reckless in a positive way with his body,
Yes.
it's good. They could sit him out some. And so this little run of games where they're going to just win by 25 and 30 points is not a bad deal. Because then that's obviously in football, injuries and being banged up, that's a big factor. 13 carries, 115 yards, 2 touchdowns. The stats I looked at, I don't know if this was a misprint, but I saw he and Babalola both were 8
A 14.
for 14. Yeah, 1 for 91 yards. That would be Chance. And then Femi with 135 yards, his touchdown to Donovan Starr. And the Raptors now ranked 4th in that Riders poll. Brentwood 7th. I don't know if we mentioned it. Centennial 9th in that poll.
We didn't. Who do we have? Oakland, Houston. Who else is? Why are they 4th?
Maryville.
Maryville?
Maybe? Yeah. No. I think Maryville's. Yeah, Maryville's. I think up
Not
there.
buying it. You buying that?
No, I'm selling on that.
Selling. Yeah. Hey. Well, and that might not be right. They had a little bit of a stat issue. I'm telling you, man. Somebody ought to come up with a service.
I don't think. I was going to say I didn't feel like Maverick threw it 14 times.
Right. That's 28. That's 28 attempts between the two of them.
We're gonna.
You got 13 carries. It was a running clock. I don't know that there were enough snaps. But that's okay. The picture was painted. The other thing is Donovan also had a kick return for a touchdown. So big night there as well. And Coach Hester was very proud of this. 0 pass completions his way when they came his way. I wouldn't go there a whole lot. So, I'm selling on number 4 in the state. It doesn't really matter. All that matters is who's in Chattanooga at the end of the game. But you're right. It is a great luxury to have when you have 2 legitimate starting quarterbacks, and the way Maverick takes some hits, it's good that he splits them up. So, and Coach said, he said it after the week 1 Alcoa game, the game plan never really changes. The playbook doesn't really change. It's just they both do things really well. But Donovan had another big night. Mav and Femi had a big night. Patrick Sullivan He's another one who's, you keep seeing receivers stepping up. He had over 108 receiving yards. So I don't know. 24 if you count the kickers and the punters. 22 starting positions on offense and defense. They might have 2 weak spots. Might.
They're taking it to the house.
They're taking it to the house.
At the end. Can't
By
wait.
the way, I got a report. Mimi Hester was not happy that the district athletic director did not mention her last week because
hey, I'm sorry.
The only thing that saved you is you mentioned her twice the week before. But, Mimi, we're thinking about you, and we appreciate you watching the show. And I know you were pretty upset last week with the Raptors' sloppiness with penalties and having touchdowns called back. I got to think she was pretty happy after this one.
She was also, Miss Hester was happy with Matt Anderson's 7 tackles.
Always happy with Matt Anderson.
Always happy.
And she was very pleased with the offensive line's protection of Femi and Maverick and the running backs and the wide receivers, and also grandson Riggs Hester on the offensive line. So she was pretty pleased with that.
Here's not so breaking news. I don't even know if this is true. I'm just going to assume it is. Smyrna will not be renewing the Ravenwood contract.
Doubt it. Wouldn't think so. Hey, can we skip so I don't have to put the hat back on? Can we skip to the next one?
Yeah, let's skip.
Okay.
We'll go to order. Man, you're busy this week.
Busy.
Centennial.
A lot of gas. The gas bill's up.
Centennial 44, Hillwood 0. Oh, excuse me.
Boat Captain Stewart.
James Loss.
Boat Captain Stewart, report to the captain's deck. Report to the captain's deck. 44-0. James Lawson. Remember, last year, we didn't think so. Lawson was winning, playing well, and they were we got something for Centennial. They didn't.
Oh, yeah.
They really didn't this year. I'm telling you, the best, I've seen it happen before, the best thing that could have happened to the Centennial Cougars was losing in overtime week 1 to Franklin.
Well, it obviously hasn't hurt their one-loss record because they've won them all since.
They have, and really have been playing with an attitude.
44-0. Hey, it was 41-0 at the half. 21 points in the first quarter, 20 more points in the second. 250 total yards to 4. David Riley connected with Kenai Johnson. They also both ran for touchdowns in the first quarter. And I had to do a little double take on this one.
It's hard. This is hard to do.
3 straight pick sixes? 3 straight. I mean, forget it being straight, just 3 total.
Right.
Taylon Vaughn, Gavin Johnson, Isaac Bond. Have you ever heard of that? I've literally never heard of that.
Never heard of that. I don't even know how that's even possible. And that you were too busy, which you should have been watching the Kent State. I mean the Georgia Ravenwood game.
Kentucky.
Yeah, Georgia Kentucky game. Excuse me. I'm still thinking about Captain Hester. So you didn't get to see it. Kent State took a page out of what Coach Flatt said, boys. Sometimes you just need to run the ball every play. Let the clock get down to 1 before you snap it. Let the clock run out and get on the bus and go the flip home. Okay? Coach Lilly needs to learn that one, man. Quit throwing the football. This one's over.
Time out. I'm working on the press.
No.
We should, yeah.
Clock run out. Let's go home.
Yeah. Luke Scott told me that
Live to fight another day.
When I first started coaching at Beach and we had that great 3-21 season to open my career.
That's stellar.
It was great.
But hey, Gary Rankin's first season as a head coach, he was 0-10. It turned out okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So did yours.
So he said to me one time, he said, let me give you some advice here. He said, number one, when you have one of those teams, don't schedule many extra games. No, I didn't do that. He said, number 2, when you're getting beat, don't draw attention to yourself. Getting up, yelling at the refs, calling timeouts. So just kind of slide down in the seat and just let it get over, and maybe nobody will notice you were the coach.
Don't do it in a way where they think you're down there pouting and it's all on the kids, but just kind of blend in a little bit.
He told me too, which was classy. He said, go back and look. Some of these years we haven't had good teams. You notice we didn't play many games.
Brilliant. That's called wisdom.
I didn't do it.
Of course you did.
Sliding down the chair, though, that's not bad. Hey, couple tough losses here to end up our football roundup. Fairview, we've been surprised now twice with the Yellow Jackets. This time they go to Richland. Richland's got a good team, Class A team.
Yep.
21-17. Fairview took that lead late, 17-14 on a Trayvon Murray, one of his 2 rushing touchdowns. But they couldn't quite hold on. Richland scores with under a minute to go to get the win, 21-17. The young sophomore quarterback, again, another good night, John Barrick, 8 of 12, 83 yards passing and 78 rushing. So that young man's playing well. And they did have 3 guys with double digits in tackles there, Mr. Mathews.
They did. Zedek Chambers with 10, Will Frank with 11, and Kenyon Porter with 12. Very encouraging, but still, that's tough when it's a 4-point loss to Richland. So
You know the best thing that can happen?
get everybody healthy.
Play Cheatham County the following week.
Is that who they got? Are you forecasting your pick?
I am, but it's not. I mean,
That is got to be something good.
it helps.
I like what, it wasn't the plan going into the year, but that's injuries are part of the game. And so Barrick, I really like what he's doing, stepping in, and he's really growing. I think by the end of the year, well, he already is. I think by the end of the year, he's going to be playing really well. Again, Fairview's not in the business of losing to teams like Richland, but Richland's a quality football program.
Summit, tough loss at Blackman, 35-0. The difference, that 28-point second quarter for for Blackman. Summit had 4 fumbles. With the line, you can't do that any night, but they certainly can't do it with the injuries they have. 2 of those were recovered by Blackman. I think 1 led to a touchdown. But even when it doesn't, it makes your defense play a little bit more than you want them to. The time of possession gets all messed up, depending on what part of the possession they fumble, obviously. But it just sort of messes the whole thing up, especially if they're going to play clock management. But outside that second quarter, obviously Summit hung tough in that. Let me tell you the good news for Summit in terms of trying to get healed up. The games that going into the year, you're thinking, okay, maybe we need to try to win these to be a playoff team. They're at the end of their schedule. So this doesn't matter.
Correct.
They all matter, but it doesn't hurt.
It does that.
It doesn't hurt like it could.
Yeah. Well, and they're not built like that anyways. Without the injuries, they're not built to give up 28 points in the second quarter, and also giving away 4, having 4 fumbles that were 2 that you give away. That's just not how that offense is built. It's not the way they play. So all you can do is show up on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, keep practicing, keep getting better. And
That's all you can do.
Yep, that's all you can do. And that's what they will do.
A little volleyball update. Nolensville, we're not surprised. They're 7-0. Undefeated. Independence Centennial, a couple wins last week. Brentwood, 6-1. So we're heading to that matchup. They had wins over Page and Indy. But here's one. Ravenwood, if you remember.
That's right.
Battle of the Woods is a 5-setter.
Yep.
They're now 5-2. Had big wins last week over Page and Franklin, 3-1, which is a little bit of a surprise. Franklin's now 3-4. So we've been talking Franklin, and rightly so. Ravenwood said, hold on a second.
Not so fast.
We've been one of those teams too. If you look back, when Nolensville was smaller class, and obviously before Nolensville was a school, Ravenwood, Brentwood, back and forth. So give it to Ravenwood for being 5-2, Tate Mathews.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. I think sometimes we're not quite sure. I think Nolensville's the 1, Brentwood's the 2, and Ravenwood's the 3. Franklin's maybe 3B.
Yeah.
But, I'm pretty sure that Brentwood's 1 loss is to Nolensville, right?
Yes.
And then
that was a 5-setter.
Ravenwood's are to Nolensville, and it is what it is.
I'd be nervous.
District tournament's going to be fun.
I'd be nervous. It's kind of to your point, Franklin in the tournament.
Yes.
But until they do it, they haven't done it.
They haven't done it.
But I would be nervous about them come tournament time.
And all 3 of those have done it. The 3 above them.
They have.
They've
Soccer.
all done it.
Ravenwood 1-0 win over Nolensville. It was a big district win. Lindsay Lee with a goal. Hey, let's finish this thing up with a little cross country. The Southern Showcase, which is in Huntsville, Alabama. 27. Now, they had all kinds of divisions. If you go to Tennessee Mile Split and look up the division, it was the JV and the gold. All I know is this. The top 2 races, where the big dogs are at. Brentwood won the girls. There were 27 teams. They finished first. I think they took the top 4 scores in this. They had 75 points.
You love this.
Second place at 178. Yeah, go ahead.
You know what that is? Coach Patinas, that's a kick.
This may be our first ever.
Coach Patinas, Coach Doty, that is a cross-country boat race.
And I would think they'd be on a speedboat.
Doty's definitely on a speedboat. Maybe on a surf, I don't know. She's, big waves, ocean. Yeah, they're on a surfboat, speedboat. That's annihilation.
178?
Yeah.
It's 103.
I think we just ought to, but it's been that way every week. The boys too, not this time, but the girls, it is a weekly boat race.
It's out of hand.
Yes, it is.
Independence finished 11th. On the boys' side, Brentwood 4th, Independence 8th.
I want to know who those other 3 teams were. Had to have been out of state.
Out of state. There were some out-of-staters.
Yep.
Individual. Summit had a couple of young ladies finish 4th and 5th. I was looking too. It didn't look like they took an entire squad that ran in that race. Sienna Anderson 4th, Lorelei Witten 5th. On the boys' side, there's our guy, Asher Oates, Independence finishing 7th. Callahan Fielder finishing 9th. So we're heading towards it. We've already said it. We've gone on record. When it comes to cross country, it's going to be Brentwood, girls and boys, like they did with tennis last year.
Yep.
Sweeping it.
Without a doubt. Coach, I messed you up a little bit real quick before we go to Pick'ems because of the boat race props.
That's right.
We skipped over Henry County, Brentwood Academy.
Yes, we have to.
Because you got some really good stuff.
Because I've got Thank you, Mr. Mathews.
Yes, sir. Yes. Teamwork.
So back in football, Brentwood 7-6 win at Henry County, and I alluded to it last week. But we got to add to it because it was a 1-point game. This week's gem, Mr. Mathews. Okay, they've played the last 4 years. Brentwood, they've won all 4.
All 4. 4-0.
By 7, by 3, by 2, by 1. That's a total of 7, 10, 12, 13 points in 4 wins. Man, is that close. And you know what makes me smile about that? Is because I know the Henry County faithful, they are passionate.
Big time.
And that's a good thing.
They got the train whistle
But do you know how much
the cowbells?
Do you know how much they hate losing to Wilco Brentwood 4 times?
I think it even makes it even more stinging that it's Brentwood. Not just Wilco, but Brentwood.
I do too.
Because I can hear them now. They're soft. They're not tough and physical like we are. They don't like to get hit, and then boom. They are tough. They don't mind hitting. Actually, they do the hitting. But yeah, that's a big win. That score. If you had told me 7-6, I'm thinking that's a Henry County win. But that's great. Landon Okla, the tight end, they put him in the Wildcat package, and he scored the lone touchdown. Great job, Landon. But that's a good, tough. Everybody will tell you, Coach Crabtree will tell you, it's never easy to get a win in Paris. It's just not. That's a good one. This Brentwood team's solid.
I give it to them. Henry County scored late and went for 2. I like that.
I do too.
I give them credit for that. Unless it was one of those, like the Franklin Centennial where it turned into going for 2.
Fire call.
They didn't mean for it to.
He didn't call it. It just was what it was.
But I respect that. They're not favored to win anyway. Hey, I did want to mention this. TSSAA, is that my last little dig?
Love it.
TSSAA Coaches of the Year, they recognize last year's Coach of the Year this time of year. Mark Wilkins, Independence Boys Basketball, Coach of the Year. Kristen Young, Boys Tennis, could have been girls too, they won them both, for tennis at Brentwood. And then Steve Brock, I was happy to see Coach Brock get recognized. Boys Track and Field, all state champions, all well-deserved. So congratulations to those coaches.
Yeah, without a doubt. Not a criticism. Why so late? What?
Probably because it's a meeting. They kind of recognize it in our fall meetings. I guess they could announce it, but when they have these fall meetings, is usually when they recognize them. So maybe that makes the timing right.
Good answer. Good reason.
Let's talk pick'ems. I mean, it's not been like this, but I'm thinking maybe they're easier to pick. I don't know. But all of us, talking about Dr. Qualls, the fans, the two of us all went 7-1. We all missed the Fairview game.
Yeah.
25-5 for joins Mathews Qualls. The fans still one game back at 24-6. And by the way, fans, continue to go to X at WCS Athletics to participate. These picks, I'm telling you, we keep saying it. This is Separation Friday because I've got my plans for you.
Okay.
Mr. Mathews. Listen, I'm tired of being tied. We're going to see if we can make something happen. I am going to start the picks.
Oh, love it.
Brentwood at Summit. 3-1 Brentwood takes on Summit 1-3. It's the WCTV game of the week. It's the first region game for both. It's Brentwood. Summit still smarting from the injuries. I do think this would be a Brentwood win either way.
Yep.
Full disclosure, I do think that. But I think it would be a really close ball game. Barring the injuries, it's going to be tough for Summit. I'm going Brentwood.
Well said. I agree with everything that you said. Brentwood goes down there, they get the win, and they go to 1-0 in the region.
Your pick. Centennial, 3-1 at Springfield, 2-2. Springfield with wins over Greenbrier and Station Camp. Losses to Clarksville and Henry County.
Yeah. Two good losses. I mean, none are good, but there's no shame in either one of those losses. I meant what I said earlier. I think ever since that overtime, I think it woke something up in the Centennial Cougar locker room and in the coaching office. Coach Stewart was not happy. Hey, maybe we need to be approaching this way. They've been playing lights out. Springfield likes to be physical. They're not going to out-physical Centennial. They like to run. They're not outrunning Centennial. I'm going with the Cougars, and I think this one could be ugly.
I agree.
No Dustin. I thought Dustin Wilson might. He might.
No.
Okay.
Centennial.
Cougars.
Fairview, 2-2, 1-0 in the league versus Cheatham County, 0-4, 0-1 in the league. This is a region matchup. Cheatham County with losses to White House Heritage, Cannon County, Harpeth, James Lawson, and this week to Fairview.
Where's this game?
Fairview.
Oh, good. Snappies, be open early. I'm going with the Yellow Jackets, big.
Okay, here's one where it may get tricky.
Good.
Franklin, 2-2, hosting Nolensville, 3-1. Now let me give you a little history in this matchup. They played 3 times. Nolensville, over the last 3 years, they won 34-23. They won 30-20. And 34-14. That's in reverse order of years.
34-23 was last year.
Correct.
We were there, game day.
Right. Frank?
Little bus trouble.
At Nolensville. That's right. I thought yes, that's right. That's right. It's not good. It's your pick, Tate. I'm curious to see what you're going to do here.
I was 100% mind made up.
Oh.
Going into the show. But now I'm not 100%. I think I'm like 80-20, 75-25. You know what I think of Coach Pauly D, but you also know what I think of the difference between 6A and 5A. I like this Franklin team. I think they got a lot of weapons. I know they got a lot of weapons. I think they're playing with some confidence. For the first time in 4 years, I think the Admirals get the win over the Knights.
Okay, I thought you'd pick Nolensville. I'm going with Franklin too.
6A, 5A, that's it.
I'm going with Franklin too. So we haven't separated anything, Tate.
No, we're not going to.
Here's our next game. Independence, 0-4 versus Beach, 3-1. Independence won that game last year, 28-7 at Beach. Do they repeat it? That's my question to you. My pick, because I want to give you a chance to get the lead.
Okay, thanks.
I'm going to pick Beach.
Yep.
In this game. So here's your opportunity to take the lead.
Well, man, I hope I'm wrong on this. They're so young right now. That 28-7 win last year was really big for Independence. But I just feel like at this point in the season, right now, with how young they are, I'm going to go with the Beach Buccaneers.
Okay, so there's no separation.
No separation. And there's dang sure not going to be on this one.
I thought I was going to kind of. Okay. It's going to be a tough year. Hey, final two, I think we both can pretty emphatically say Page versus Coffee County, 4-0 versus 3-1. I don't think it matters. It's a dominant win for Page. And then Ravenwood at Overton. I mean, give me a break. Ravenwood by as many as they want. So
Overton's won 2 games.
Okay. Over Hillsborough and McGavick. Losses to Father Ryan and East Nashville, which, but we both agree it's Ravenwood Page, right?
Ravenwood Page. I do think Coffee County gives Page a better game than Overton gives Ravenwood, though.
See, I'm not even respecting the orders of the pick when I got to do those two last because I know we're both going to pick them.
Right.
Hey, one thing I did like, though, so I got my notes here. Coffee County, when they play Tullahoma, it's for the coffee pot.
Yeah.
Dude, I love that so much.
It's awesome.
I feel like we need to add some of those. The Big Ten is littered with those. I think that's cool.
It is cool.
And it's some kind, I'm assuming it's a.
I guess there's the Battle of the Wood.
Well, I mean,
trophy.
Don't get me wrong, I like that, but when they name it.
There's the helmet.
We've got it, but.
Yeah, but it needs the coffee pot.
I love that.
I love it too.
We need like a.
And I love it when Coffee County wins it.
We need a thing.
We do. I think that's under you. Come up with it. You're good at that.
Okay.
Put your marketing teacher hat back on.
So, Tate, this is for sure. At the end of next week, you and I will be tied.
We'll be tied.
We'll see if the fans or Dr. Qual.
Well, let's be honest. The only thing that could be different, I think, is if the fans or Dr. Q goes with Nolensville.
I agree.
I think every other one is pretty much.
I am going to tell you, if it's going to be on upset alert,
I know which one it is.
It's Independence.
Yep.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
It's upset alert.
I'd be okay with that.
I'm kicking myself.
I'd take another L. I'd take another Eric Hazard L's up L on that.
All right, Tate, as always, appreciate you being here.
Without a doubt, man. Can't wait to talk about it next week.
Thank you for joining us for Sports Connection. We'll see you next time.